Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I recently had the chance to travel to Finland and do a little bit of shooting with a couple of really cool Finnish light machine guns. One was an LS-26, and one was a captured Soviet DP-28. Now, I've been aware of the LS-26 for a while, but this was the first time I'd actually had a chance to get my hands on a real one, and also, of course, my first chance to actually shoot one. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to put more than just a few rounds through it, and I also didn't have the chance to take it apart and give you a full teardown and mechanical and history video on the gun. So we'll do a little bit of a brief overview right now. The LS-26 was obviously developed in 1926. It was the standard light machine gun for the Finnish Defense Forces until they started capturing Russian machine guns during the Winter War. Chambered for 7.62 by 54 rimmed, had a 20-round box magazine. There are also references to a 75-round Pan magazine, but I don't think those ever actually saw real service. A total of about 5,000 of these were manufactured for the Finns, and they are a short recoil tilting bolt light machine gun. They were allegedly a very accurate machine gun, and I have no reason to doubt that. However, they had a whole lot of moving parts, and they were very tightly fitted together, which is part of what made them quite accurate. Unfortunately, this also made them quite unreliable in the snow. They had to have, for example, good lubrication, but at the same time, when it got really cold in the northern Finnish winter, the lubricants would often freeze up, and then you're stuck with a gun that just really doesn't work very well. So when the Finnish troops started capturing Russian DP-28s, they really preferred the Russian gun. So we are going to do a little bit of shooting here and see if myself and Carl share that opinion. So I have 4 rounds in it because I don't have the loading tool, and it's really a pain in the ass to load the magazine. So we're going to start with the gun on semi-auto only. It is selectable. We've got both a safety selector, so safe fire. We also have a selector switch, which is semi in the rearward position and full in the forward position. All right, and appropriate Finnish rain. Not bad. It's a heavy gun, so there's not a whole lot of recoil. I'm going to load up a couple more rounds and try a burst instead of just semi-auto. If I can find it. There we go. Mag's in. Full auto. So this is my first time trying to load this mag. This is one of those double feed single, actually double stack single feed mags, which you see on a lot of old submachine guns and this gun. I think it's a lot easier if you push from the rear, like I'm doing.
Yeah, you have to push the back end of the cartridge.
So that's what the loader does. In fact, I think I could get a lot more than that in there personally, but we'll go with the 4 because that's what they're recommending. I'm gonna give it a shot. You ready?
Yep.
Wow. I would have not had any idea what was going on downrange while that was firing. Complete loss of situational awareness. It's just a bunch of stuff going on. Muzzle blast, recoil, bang, 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 bang. Pull the trigger, hope for the best.
And a really heavy trigger, too.
It's a heavy trigger. It's an open bolt gun. That's normal for that. But I would find this difficult to use, and I'd have to say I agree exactly with what you said. The DP-28 is a much easier gun to keep, control the fire, and keep your situational awareness.
Wow, when that bolt drops, it is a long rate of, I mean, you have to really have sight follow through when you drop that trigger. There's this kerchunk, bang, and it's pretty hard to keep that gun on target. And the comb is a little bit too high for me to get on that rear sight effectively. That comb should be a little lower. Yeah, I could not find that front sight and bury it in the notch like I'd like to. That's a tricky gun.
So like Carl was saying there, the LS-26 is a really hard gun to shoot well. On semi-auto, it's not bad. The weight of the gun takes up a lot of the recoil, and you're able to make single shots, which I expect are quite accurate, although we didn't have the chance to shoot it for groups. On full auto, however, there is so much going on, so much violent force being dropped on you as the shooter, that the world just kind of grays out. You can't follow your sights while you're shooting. You just have to wait until you're done, release the trigger, and then the world comes back into color, your peripheral vision reemerges, and you can assess what has just happened. So I can certainly see why this wasn't a particularly popular gun with the Finnish troops, and so they started capturing and using DP-28s as soon as they had the opportunity to in the Winter War. In fact, a lot of the ones they captured, like these two here, are actually tank-mounted DT guns. Anyway, we had the chance to do some shooting with a DP, and we'll see how it compares.
All right, we've got the gun in the completely unfireable position, bolt forward, dust cover closed. The only safety on here is a grip safety right down there. So that's safe. That's lots of DACA. So just use a piece of brass and open the magazine cover, lock the bolt back, drum in. More. And that's it. Oh. I only loaded the magazine partially. Ready for another reload.
In marked contrast to the LS-26, man, that DP-28 was really nice to shoot. It was a lot more controllable. It allowed you to actually maintain some perspective on your target and adjust fire while you were actually firing, which is nice. It has a larger, substantially larger magazine, almost 250% as big. It is a wildly more reliable gun in poor conditions because it is a gun that has fewer parts. It has much larger clearances in between those parts. And I can totally understand why Finnish troops preferred the DP-28s over their LS-26s. I believe by the end of the continuation war, the Finns had something like 15,000 DPs, compared to the 5,000 or so LS-26s they had begun the war with. That makes perfect sense, and that is definitely the gun to go with. One other interesting thing that I came away from this with is that the semi-auto version of the DP, or the DPM specifically, which I got from Smith Machine Group, SMG guns, that thing is like 90% as effective as a legit full-auto DP. Just the controllability, the rate of fire, the trigger in that semi-auto DP was really quite nice, and man, it's interesting. Some semi-auto machine guns seem like a total waste of time. Honestly, I have a semi-auto Browning 1919 that is kind of a useless gun. But then that DP was really, I was really impressed by the semi-auto DP after being able to compare it to the full-auto one. So if you are looking for a DP here in the United States and you don't have the money to go after a transferable one, I think there are a few transferable ones out there, or if you don't have the license to get a dealer sample, you know, I would seriously consider one of those semi-auto ones from SMG Guns. In fact, I'd consider it so much that I have one and I'm very happy with it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something about some Finnish guns today. I would like to throw a big thank you out to Varsteleka for arranging this shooting trip, the shooting opportunity with that LS-26. If you're looking for cool military surplus goods, definitely check them out. They're the coolest surplus store in all of Finland, and there's a link to their shop in the description text below. Thanks for watching.